What's up guys, welcome back to Hex. Now today we're building a supercomputer, okay? It's going to be housed in this beautiful Fractal North XL case. It's a dark wood tinted glass, really sleek and lovely. It's got this sort of gold accents here on the front panel. It really looks beautiful, okay? Now we're going to put in this MSI Mag X870E Tomahawk motherboard. And inside the center of that motherboard is going to be a Ryzen 9 9900X with 128 gigabytes of DDR5 RAM from Crucial. And we're also going to install a 2 terabyte Samsung 9100 SSD NVMe drive. On this side here, we have our cooler. It's a liquid cooler from Arctic. It's a 420mm AIO, which is going to go on the front panel here vertically, because we couldn't actually get the 360 version to put it on the top panel here because it was out of stock. So we had to go for this one, which I think is a better upgrade anyways for the kind of build that we're doing here. So another thing we're doing, as you can clearly see here, we've got a 5090 graphics card here. It's from MSI, it's a Suprim with 32 gigabytes of GDDR7 VRAM. Now the last thing, to power it all, we're going to use a Corsair HX1200i power supply. So massive power supply for the massive build. So let's get this stuff unpacked, let's have a look at all of it, and let's get to building. Okay guys, let's take a look at the case here, okay? So as I mentioned, obviously Fractal North XL, dark with that dark wood. Let's get this taken off and let's have a look inside what it looks like. So the panel comes off, 2 screws here, and it just slides off, okay? So let's take a quick look inside. So very spacious. It's got these sort of rubber cable management passages, if you want to call it that. I actually like that quite a lot, so it minimizes the mess and stuff, and you can't really see any cables behind. So the motherboard's going to go here. Obviously we're going to take these fans out and we're going to put them here on top, because obviously our 420mm AIO is going to go right here. And we also need to install an exhaust fan here at the back because it doesn't come with one. So if you are in the market for one of these, just be prepared, it does not come with a rear exhaust fan, okay? So you'll need to get that separately. The power supply will actually go in here from the back, of course, so it'll sit here nice and lovely. And I think that's about it actually with this case. Beautiful wooden finish at the front, golden accents on the legs as well. Yeah, really cool. So let's get this taken apart a little bit more so that we can take these fans off and switch them around. So let's do that first. So let's have a look at the back here now. So the back, again, really neat and easy to do cable management in. We have some sort of a fan controller module here, so you can actually install another fan here, which is most likely from the back. But that's the 3 fans that are currently connected to it. So I quite like that it's all here, and you don't have to look for fan headers on the motherboard and put more cables into the motherboard. You can just do it all here, and then one cable goes into the motherboard, and it all is simple. The thing I like about it the most is actually these little Velcro cable clips, cable ties, or whatever you want to call it. So that's actually a pretty cool touch. Be Quiet is quite good for that as well. Be Quiet case has, most of them have this feature, if not all really. So we've got dual here, we've got one for here, we've got one for this side as well. So we can really do our cable management very neatly in this case. And there's plenty of space for other routes and stuff like that as well. So that's good. There's also a box of accessories here, and literally a kilo bag of silica. So if you have anyone that is after this stuff, you'd be a good supplier of silica, because it's literally a kilo bag. And inside the accessories box, of course, we have our screws and cable ties and any other sort of peripherals or stuff that we may need, and nothing else in here, so that's it. So to get the front panel off, there's little clips here on the side. What we're going to do is we're going to just gently pull alongside this, and it pops them right out, and the whole thing comes off like so in one panel. Do you know what, actually that's scarily similar to the wall behind me. We should get one of these for the shop. This is actually really nice. I like this. It goes well. Right, anyway, I got distracted. So these fans here, we're going to take these off, and our 420mm is going to go right here, or from the back obviously, not from the front, but you know what I mean. So let's get these off so we can do that. At the bottom here we also have 2 SATA drive slots, so you can install 2 SATA drive slots obviously, but we're going to take one of these out actually, just so I can get that other fan out, and we might put it back together. Not sure yet, we'll just see how we get on. But if it fits back on, which I don't think it will with the radiator being here, we'll probably just leave it out, but it's not a big deal, so it's fine. And there goes the last fan. We'll pull that out. I really love the channeling of cables they did here. Even if you were to leave it the way it was and obviously do a 360 at the top of the case, that's obviously, you don't need to do that, but I'm only doing that because I'm putting a radiator here. But I quite like the way they designed this. It's very cable-less looking because it's all from the back and you don't see it at all. And there's these little channels here which you can put it through, and I really like this thing here with the controller. That is really, really cool because there's only one cable now that goes to the motherboard, this one right here. So this little header goes into the motherboard to control 4 fans, which is really, really good. You don't get that in cases. I'm pleasantly surprised to see that. So while trying to take this panel off here, I found this screw right here and I've unscrewed it, but it actually takes this panel off. And I think it's because if you want to install a radiator here, you take this off for easier access to get into this bit here. So I'm going to keep this off because that will come in handy for me to install the radiator. Now what I'm looking at here, there's this little pulley thing here. So it's just a pull and it comes off. Really well thought out, to be honest. So now we have this case fully skeletoned out, okay? We've only got the chassis left. All the panels are right here next to it. So we're going to install the fans that came off from the front on top here. Let's take the cooler out first and foremost, and we're going to test out where we can fit the cooler, okay? So let's take this out. It's a very cool packaging, if I'm honest. It looks really nice. I've actually used one of these before on a build a wee while ago, and it's actually a pretty cool AIO, to be honest. Right, so that's the fan that goes over it. Here's the actual copper plate with the pump block here. So this fan goes onto here like so when I take it out later. So we'll deal with that later on. But yeah, let's see the radiator and see how that will fit against. Christ, that's massive. That is huge. Yeah, that is humongous. It's a lovely one though. It's really nice, but it is massive. Right. Clearly that's not going to fit. Yeah, there's no way that's going to fit in here. So that's, yeah. If we now face it this way, the manufacturer states that I can install this at the front, but I think we're going to struggle with that, my friends. So we've run into our first problem, but I've already solved it, okay? 420mm, right? Now, the problem is here, this wouldn't fit unless I took the fan off here, the bottom fan off, okay? And with that bottom fan off, this radiator now fits perfectly fine, and I can attach it to the chassis, okay? Now the problem is, when I do that, this fan, or the third fan that goes on the bottom, isn't gonna fit here, okay? So I thought, how do I tackle that? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these 3 fans off and I'm going to install them at the front here facing in the way. So obviously the radiator gets fresh air instead of the hot air from the computer in here, which is even better because it will get the cold air, as I said literally mere seconds ago. But yeah, it's a much better idea, I think. And if I'm honest, I'm probably being silly and I should have already thought of that. But it's the process, right? We're here for the process. All right, so we found another little issue, okay, but it's not a big deal. So I was trying to put those 140s on top here, 1, 2, 3, okay? Now, I obviously underestimated the task at hand, and I found out that the third one won't fit in here because, I mean, I can mount it here, but there's no mounting anywhere in here to secure it on this side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run 2 140s on top, the 3 140s for the radiator here, and the final 140 I'm actually going to put as an exhaust fan here because it fits. So that's the exhaust fan problem now sorted as well. Alright, so I've hit yet another bump in the road. So it dawned on me when I was installing these that I might not have enough clearance for this radiator to go in. And that's exactly what's happened. So I can't fit this radiator in right now, which is an absolute pain in the ass. So I'm going to have to take this fan off. I can slide this one forward, so that's fine. Need to take this fan off. I'm going to have to install this cooler, this radiator first, before anything else, because... Or I can install this fan last, maybe. Something like that. But yeah, I just wanted to show you guys. This is what happens when you play about too much and try and fit gigantic radiators in PC cases that may look big, but let me tell you, when you try and put a 420 in it, it's like a problem. So anyway, yeah, let me figure this out and I'll come back to you. Okay, so I thought I'd take a little break from dealing with fans. Honestly, it's been like the whole thing for the past hour. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to build the motherboard just now, okay? So as I mentioned, that's the motherboard we have here for this build. And if I can open the box, here we go. Let's see. Let's look at this. So what we got in here? We have some accessories here. Oh yes, that's the antenna for the Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. Put that to the side just now. Let's pull the main boy out. Wow, this weighs quite a bit. This is actually quite some weight to this bad boy right here. Well, that is just humongous. Let's just have a close-up of this. Beautiful board. About 1 million USB connections. But yeah, let's get everything installed onto this board first. And then what we'll do is we will install it in the case. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually worry about the fans last. The fan and the radiator last, because they go hand in hand. So I need to put the radiator in first and then do the fans last. So we'll deal with that at the end. Right, so first things first. There goes our processor. So Ryzen 9 9900X, as I mentioned before today. So let's get this unpacked. Open this up. There we go, there's our socket. There we go, that's it in. AM5 processor, very simple to install. That's the brain of our computer, tightly installed. This is a kit of 264s. Alright, next is our NVMe 2TB 9100 Pro, and we're going to put it in the first slot here because I believe that is where the 5.0 slot is for these M.2 slots. So we're going to install it in there. Peel this off. And we pop this in at an angle. And we just press it down here. Oh, that's quite cool. It's like a pressure thing. You just push it through and it holds it in. I've never seen that before. Usually I have the screw-in ones, or I have the little ones that, you know, so you slide over or you pop it over or clip in. I've never had these before. That's pretty cool. That's pretty neat. Now, on this heatsink, we also have another peely sticker that we need to take off the thermal pads here. So we'll take that off. If you're ever installing an M.2 NVMe, make sure you look at both bits because they will have these stickers on, and it's basically the same thing as not taking a sticker off a CPU cooler. Literally the exact same thing. Maybe not as damaging, but equally as scary probably. Anyway, I'm going to try and put this back in. Not a clue. Oh, there we go. That's pretty simple. I like that. Clips, no screws involved. Nice and simple. Lovely. Okay, so CPU's in, RAM's in, storage is in. I believe that's all that needs to go on this board right now. So we will now proceed to install it inside the case. Cool. So motherboard ready to go in. Make sure when you're installing stuff like this that the standoffs in the case are in the right place. In this case, pun intended, the standoffs are in the right place. So we can just pop this in and it sits If it sits, it fits, is the way I like to see it. Also, this has a pre-built I/O shield. Make sure that the motherboard you've got will have one either pre-built onto it, or you have one separately and you actually insert it into the computer, because there's nothing worse than you finishing a build and then at the end you look at the back of it and you go, oh shit, there's no I/O shield, and it's just a big hole. So make sure you do that. Anyway, let's screw this in and we'll get back to you when it's screwed in. Okay, that's the motherboard now in the computer, secured. So now we can worry about putting the power supply in and getting all this stuff hooked up and wired in. Obviously I'm going to do all the cabling first, and then we'll do the fans and the radiator last, as we've discussed obviously at the start of the video. So yeah, let's get the next step sorted. Power supply. Let's get this opened up and let's get installed. I'm going to try to be a little bit more gentle with stuff because I, for some reason, have a really strong hand with these things. But anyway, let's see what is in here. Holy shit, that's massive. That is huge. Right, so we have buckets of cables, literally a cable bucket actually. That's a bucket of cables. Screws and cable ties, and all of our cables that we will obviously need for the build. We'll get to that in a second. Let's pull the big brick out. Right, there we go. So, connectors for all your stuff. There's the front of it. And HX1200, look at the big fan. That's like a 120 or a 140, that's massive. But anyway, as you can see, this is a little bit of a bigger power supply than what we're used to, because the smaller ones, the 1000s and the lower ones, they are like this big. So we have a slightly longer one, which also means that perhaps we might need to take out the other hard drive slot thing there for the SATA for this to fit in. So we'll get to that in a second. Let's build all the cables and we can then put it inside. Right, now let's put this in the computer. So as you can see, we're not really using many of these cables, which is pretty cool. So that's what I love about modulars. You use the cables that you actually need and you forget the ones that you don't need. Very simple. So literally like 4 cables. Now when installing a power supply, always make sure that the fan is facing down the way or into like a vent or whatever. You don't ever want this to face in the way, because you want this to have fresh air always. Right, so let's feed the cables through first, obviously. So as you can see, it fits no problem, nice and flush, without me having to take that drive thing out, so that's pretty cool. And now we can pop this back on. I believe it's this way. So that's it now secure. All I need to do now is just screw it into the back of this PSU shroud plate thing at the back here that we've just took off. So let me get that done just now and we'll come back to you guys. One thing that might confuse you is that the writing in here is upside down. So you'll be thinking, well, I'm installing this power supply upside down right now, so I'm obviously doing it wrong. However, at the back here, you'll notice that it's the right way up. So now it's like, well, what way am I supposed to install it? Always install it wherever the vent is for fresh air, with a fan facing that there vent. Because you want the power supply to be getting fresh air. You don't want the power supply to be getting air from inside the case, because that's just hot air. That's going to eventually cook your power supply and you're going to blow it up, and along with it will go the motherboard and other components that will probably get a power surge and stuff will just go on fire. So yeah, always point it down the way or wherever the vent is. In my case, for example, I have a separate chamber, so mine sits vertically facing out the way to the back. So it's just a case of I keep saying case when I'm talking about a case, but you know what I'm saying. So you need to just figure out what way the shroud's meant to be facing, the fan's meant to be facing, sorry, and install it that way. Right, so let's just check out these rubber things. That's pretty cool. I like that. So let's get this plugged in first. This will be our first cable that we plug in. Pretty neat. I don't really like this tape thing, if I'm honest with you. It doesn't really scream premium to me. Like, I wish it were like just straight cables, like with like a wee comm thing that you can put on it to separate the cable lines. But I mean, it's functional. It just doesn't look really nice, all tangled up with like a little rubber thing at the end of it. It just looks a little bit cheap, if I'm honest. But it's insane because it's a really premium like power supply. So you'd imagine that it would be, you know, looking pretty premium, which it does in a way, but I don't know. I'm not a fan. Let me know what you think in the comments, but I'm not a fan. There's a CPU, and this goes this way. Okay, that might be going in the next one along. I think it does. Yeah, it does. So sometimes one will fit a specific socket, and the other one will fit the other socket. Please, on God, let me fit this in here. Please fit, please fit. Yes, it fits. I knew it was going to fit. I was only playing. Okay, that looks nice. I like this. That looks nice. It's like a tape almost. Like, I like that. That should have been like that. But anyway, I'm just waffling nonsense right now, guys. So just bear with me while I waffle, I guess. Right, next thing is, that's our GPU 12 pin. We won't worry about that just now. Okay, now let's just install all the other stuff from the I/O shield. Okay, so your I/O shield stuff, we'll plug that in next. So we have obviously our front panel, we have, which is together by the way, rare sight. Normally you have like separate cables, and I've done enough now that I know exactly where they go, so it's not much of an issue for me anymore. But I like it when it's just one thing, because you just plug it in and that's it, you can forget about it. Audio, USB type 3, no, USB type C, USB 3 here. And lastly, this is our fan header for the fan controller that's at the back that we spoke about earlier, which is a really cool thing. I still can't get over that. Really, really cool touch. And the HD audio is always about there. So put that through. There we go. So I'm gonna have to leave it like this, I think, or we'll maybe do something with it later on, but that's where it's gonna have to sit for now. Front panel, that usually is here, which it is in this case, so that's fine. In this case, haha. Pop that through, and it goes like this. There we go. And that can sit there, I suppose. Now the last, in fact not the last thing, but one of the last things here, again we have a USB 3 here, and unfortunately it sits at an angle as well, so I'm going to have to plug it in a really weird, awkward way. It almost makes me feel like I should maybe run it from here, but I don't want to run that much cable along. There we go. We'll need to do something about this cable later on. I don't like it sitting like that. Okay, and the last thing that we'll do is our fan controller, okay? So we'll plug it, system fans right there, so we'll connect it to this one. There we go, nice and simple. Right, it would appear that's all the connections made at the moment. This is the cable situation right now. Not the prettiest, but we will sort this out once we have everything in place, more or less. But it's actually quite neat already. It's actually quite simple where things are going to go. Not a lot of cables involved in this build. But yeah, it's looking good so far. The real cables are going to happen when I get all the fans involved, because obviously I have 4 fans from the case, which are going to go into the header there. And I have fans from the AIO cooler, which obviously they will just daisy link. And then I'll plug one cable somewhere on the motherboard, which is fine. So we're looking good so far, we're looking good. Now, I think what we'll do at this point is I will actually install the radiator, because I have clearance for it. And that's kind of the next step anyway. So we'll do that next, get the radiator in and install it here. Right, radiator time. Let's get this popped in. Wow, it actually fit without a problem. I thought some of the clearance was going to be an issue, if I'm honest, but it's not, so that's good. Let's have a look here. So, yeah, no, we're good, I think. Let's just line this up. Holes, 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 holes. Yep, we've got holes. So that's fine. Cool. Right, now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to install the fans, guys. I'm going to install the fans through it, okay? Because there's not going to be enough clearance for me to do it any other way. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually pull this out. I'm going to show you quickly. So the plan is simple, okay? Radiator goes here, and the fans will go in front of it like here. And we have long screws which will go all the way through into the radiator. So this is brilliant. Now these connectors here will feed out through these holes here, and we'll run it into a header inside the motherboard, and this will all work perfectly fine. So fresh cold air for the radiator. Really, really nice stuff. So I'm actually glad I figured this out this way, and it's probably the way it's meant to be done anyway. I was just being really slow, but yeah, we'll get there. So let me get this screwed together, and I'll come back to you once it's all done, and I'll show you it. So I had a bit of an issue again, because the Arctic fans, you couldn't daisy chain link them because they've got the same headers. And because normally you would install these fans on the same bit here where the wires are, these were too short. So I've come up with yet another genius idea to use the original Fractal fans, because they have longer cables and you can chain them up. So I'm doing it this way. So I'm currently installing these in, and it actually seems to be looking like it's going to work out for me pretty well. So I seem to be coming out of trouble every time in here, to be honest, which is exactly what I'm after. But again, I'm waffling, but I like to waffle when I'm building these things because it keeps me focused. But anyway, what do you guys think so far? If you've made it this far watching this video, let me know in the comments what you think of this so far. Solid, absolutely solid. Right, now I need to just, there's 2 more screws in here that I need to install, and that's it for the fans and the radiator. So that's pretty exciting. And then we can actually install the block and install the rest of the fans, and finally we can put the graphics card in, which is the bit I am waiting for the most, if I'm honest with you guys. That could be the most exciting part of this whole build. Right, so that's the fans all complete now. The fans are installed, as you can see here. It's all looking really well. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to install the block, okay? So the radiator's in as well, obviously. All the fans from the front are installed, all is good, okay? So I have these little spacers here which go on the socket screws here. So they go in, and then on top of that we will screw in further screws to then secure this into. So this attaches onto this to then attach onto these things. So let me get this sorted out and I'll come back to you. Okay guys, so we have the pump ready and installed with the AMD brackets here left and right, and they will go respectively to their designated areas here. Now before we proceed with that, obviously we need to do 2 crucial things here. So apply the thermal paste, and always remember to take that warning sticker off of your block, okay? So let's pop this on first. Sticker off. I'll take this one off as well. And it goes something like this. So now we have these screws here. We need to aim them. There we go. Like this. Okay guys, we've arrived at the best moment now. So my favourite moment of all builds, inserting a cool graphics card into the computer. But before we do that, let me just show you what I did here, okay? So the cooler is installed. All of this is sorted out now. We can actually peel the sticker here now. There we go, that's the sticker off. So now it's looking nice and matte, nice and fresh. So that's that on. The fans here are secured nicely. The fans here at the front, all secured as well for the radiator. And we've got the final exhaust fan there, which is all wired up, all hooked up, good to go. So hopefully it all starts up when we boot the PC up. But first, let's open up this so I can show you what this looks like. So the presentation from Suprim is, as the name suggests, Suprim. So it opens up nicely to the box, and first we have a connector here which we won't be using because we don't need this right now. We have a 12 pin already installed here, so we won't be needing to use this connector at all. We do, however, have, this is really cool actually, it's a GPU support bracket from MSI themselves. So we can literally just install this and we'll figure out how this works shortly. I think this is it actually. Yeah, this is it. So we can actually, because this will have some sag on it when we put it in, so this is good that they provide this. Anyway, the favourite part, the best part of this all, is pulling this out. Yeah, stand back, because we need a little bit more. There we go. Now, let me just tell you, when I tell you this weighs a ton, this really weighs a ton. It is a massive, and it weighs so, I think it's like 3 or 4 kilos maybe. It is huge. Massive heatsink for this GPU. Lovely stuff. I actually have the Suprim 4090 in my own computer, and let me tell you, I thought that was massive when that arrived at my house. This is even bigger than the 4090 Suprim. It is humongous. So let's get all these plasticky things off it. It's actually getting a little bit tiresome on my hand. Like holding it is getting a little bit strainy because of the weight of it. The longer you hold it, the heavier it gets. Okay. I love the finish on this, as every Suprim ever. They're always sort of metallic, really lovely material, really lovely looking things. So there's some RGB in here as well. So there's 2 sort of chevrons that are RGB in this card, okay. Now this is your port here. Now let's get this. I love the brushed effect on this. This looks lovely. It's actually raised as well, so you can feel that, you know, this was machined nicely. And then the last bit, I think, is this bit here. Gorgeous. Just beautiful. Oh, no, there's one more bit here, actually. Perfect. Now, I believe this lights up as well. So that's another wee accent that lights up. So, lovely stuff. Now, following that, we have just a couple of paperwork stuff in the box, but that's basically it. So, will this fit? Good heavens. It almost did not. This will fit. Just look at the clearance here. It's only say about 1 centimeter, if not less. So yeah, we're pretty lucky that fits. It's quite snug in this case, especially with the radiator mounted here. So yeah, jackpot, guys, jackpot. Right, let me take 2 of these out, and we'll be installing that very shortly. Give me 2 wee minutes. All right, so we're just waiting for our crane operator to get in the building so he can lift it with a crane into the computer. And I'm only joking, we're going to do it by hand. But so obviously the PCIe cover comes off. I've taken the 2 out here. Make sure that's open, which it is, and we can now pop it in. Okay, that's it clicked in. Now I'm gonna hold it while I screw this in. Actually, I can probably use this device here. This is actually gonna come in very handy right now. Right, okay, so we don't even need to lift this any higher because that's basically where it's gonna be. So if we just put this, we just install this here for the moment. Wow, okay, that's it in. Well, not in yet, but we need to secure it now, okay? So screwdriver, I'm gonna come on this side. Okay, I can confirm this is now securely installed into this computer. Just one more screw goes in here. Okay, we have got the 5090 Suprim successfully installed within this computer. Okay guys, we just need to plug it in now, which is this way. Actually, I'll hold it from here. Okay, I believe that's plugged in. Yes, it is. Okay. It would appear that that's it sorted now. Now, I do like how it fills the whole case. I do like how all of this is utilized, you know, all this space. We've got the full motherboard, we've got a full length card that fills up the whole space, and it's chunky. It's not just long, but it's also chunky as well. So yeah, I'm really liking this build. Now I'm gonna pull this cable back a little touch. I'll deal with the cable management aspect very shortly, but I do believe this is ready for its first boot. Okay, so I've left all the panels off just now because Lord knows it's bad luck to put the panels on before you do your first boot in case something's wrong. Okay, so we're gonna plug this in now. Let's take this away actually. Cute. Okay, now this desk has been equipped with the plug for these computers. Okay, so stand back because this might explode. Who knows what might happen here today. I'm gonna come over here so I can watch this turn on. Okay. Okay, so I thought I'd just stay quiet for a minute there so you can hear what I was just hearing. You can hear the liquid swooshing around and travelling through the cooler and the pipes, the fans, and the VRM fan that's inside this cooler here. This is all just gorgeous. And we've got green lights on the panel here, so we have a little debug thing going on here, and it's cycled through them all, and it looks like it's okay. So what we're going to do now is we're going to turn this off for a second. I'm going to plug a monitor into it, and we're going to restart it again and see if we get into the BIOS. If we get to the BIOS, that means that my job is done. So let's try that. Okay, monitor's plugged in. Let's put this up again. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a BIOS. Yes, we do. Right, okay, I can conclude this computer is complete. As we can see in the BIOS here, everything's checking out pretty well. We're getting all the things that we need on it. that is pretty good. It is ready for Windows installation. Cool, so we're gonna go ahead and install back all the panels that we've took off. And that should just, there we go. Okay, that's the front on now. And oh yeah, I forgot to show you guys my cable management. This is the cable management. I think this is fair for this build, okay? We have things coming in this way, things coming in this way, and we have obviously the CPU cable this way, and some fan cables and stuff. So I think it's neat enough. I think it's okay for this one. So yeah, we can probably safely put the back piece on now. Now the last piece of it is the glass. Oh, good lord, that's a second. Right. That looks lovely. I must say that looks really nice. And this shroud actually hides that radiator pretty well as well. So yeah, this is a really nice build, I must say. I am enjoying this build a lot. What we'll do now is we'll get some cinematic shots for you guys so you can properly see this with it being turned on, and we'll get back to you for the end of the video. Okay guys, thank you very much for watching the video. If you've stuck to the end, I really appreciate that, with all my waffling and all my problems and stuff like that. This is definitely one of my favourite builds that I've built. It's certainly probably the most expensive build that I built after my own PC, which was similar price last year. But literally love this thing. I think it looks great. I think it looks a nice sort of sleeper looking build with the lack of RGB and stuff like that. So yeah, no, I really appreciate you watching. If you like the build, please comment in the comment section, obviously. Drop a like, drop a subscribe, and yeah, let me know if you've got something similar, or if there's something you would have done differently. Any sort of feedback, please write it down. And yeah, we'll see you in the future videos. So thank you very much for watching again, and have a good one.